What's going on, everyone? Under here we got the new heart for the Miata build. Let's reveal it. For the Miata. Alright, so the hardest part that I think of this build is going to be removing every piece of wiring that goes to the ECM. It has EWS. This is it's gonna be I believe it's a 97 E36 328i. But I have to remove, I'm gonna cut out the ignition switch so I can keep the EWS, because I don't want to be messing with the EWS and bypassing it. So here's gonna be the start of pulling all this wiring apart. Alright, so what I got done now is, so I disconnected the ignition switch to the harness, which is all down here, which usually comes up through here for the gauges, everything. This is the EWS antenna sensor. So basically, these are the main wires that I'm going to be using through the harness, and then also just the gauge cluster wires. So I'm going to have to cut this switch out so I can keep the EWS intact, because it is an OBD2 car. And basically all these wires, this harness right here, there's two harnesses. So basically I'm gonna have to cut open this harness, because some of these harnesses go to like the radio and powers like all the electronics for the car, brake lights, etc. All I'm gonna be using is the main functions to run the car and the gauge cluster. So I'm gonna back trace the pin, the harness for this in the cluster. It should run all the way up to that fuse box through here, through this here. Fuse box is in the front. So I'm gonna cut all these little things off. I'm gonna find the harnesses, adapters that I want to keep. I will separate those from the harness and then basically cut everything else out and transfer just the main ones that I need to run the car to the Miata. So I'll show you guys more time lapse of what that's gonna be like. Alright guys, welcome back. So ran into a few things. I went to cut out the section right here and I was pulling it, and I took the end of the ignition switch off where all the power wires are. So I was kind of bummed about that, but I found another way. So I bought this car running, driving, everything. It was crashed in the front over there. So my best thing is, I would buy a car that you have the key so you know that it's gonna run. Like if you picked up a car from a junkyard, you would have to get a whole key with the antenna that'll be able to start your car. So what I'm gonna do is, let me show you guys. So this is the end of the ignition switch. This goes into the harness, and this, when you turn your key, this turns on, position, run, start. Okay. So as long as this key is in the sensor, you could start the car by hand. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this antenna out, and I'm just gonna tape the key with duct tape in the antenna, so it's always gonna have that connection. And then as for this, I'm gonna plug this into the factory BMW harness, and I'm gonna wire these onto the Miata ignition switch. So it's gonna use the Miata factory ignition switch, so I'm not gonna go cutting into the key in the dash. And then obviously it should run, cause let me show you guys real quick. So this is for the key. Let me plug it in real quick for you guys. Alright. So as you see, the key's in. Literally does nothing. All it's doing is receiving the signal to the EWS security system. And all I'm gonna do is push the clutch down for you guys. Push the clutch down. And look, it just starts by hand. Starts right up. As long as this key's in. As long as, it started, but it will not start. I shut it off. It will not start with the key out of that ring. So put the key back in the ring. Key's in the ring. Have to turn it all the way back off. It should start right up. So with that being said, all I'm gonna do is take this antenna out. Basically just tape that key. Just tape the key inside of this ring around. And I can't damage any of this wiring for the WS. Realistically, as long as this key's in, keep all the wiring intact. Plug, and I'll just wire these to the Miata ignition switch. And then just tuck this whole thing under the dash on the Miata. It should start right up, no problems. Alright, so this is where we're at now. So I cut, you could have literally just took people take the bobby pin and put it in the hole and pull just the whole key out, lock cylinder. But I didn't feel like spending 30 minutes and trying to figure that out. So I just got my saw, just straight cut it. You have to be careful not to cut the wires. And this thing will spin, so you have to be careful. So all I'm gonna do is basically just tape all this up around. So that's really all you need. If you have your WS, that's all you need to start the car, as long as that's in. Starts right up. Because I don't want to go spending the extra money and get the EWS delete ECU. They're not that expensive, but I think I'll see them on eBay for like 70, 80 bucks for ECU EWS delete. But if I can get around, spending a little extra money, I could put that in to do other things. But yeah, so all you're gonna do is cut that out, or take it off the right way if you wanted to, and then that's pretty much it. Connect the connector for that and the switch that powers everything. I'm gonna put all that to the side, make sure you don't lose any of that. And what I'm gonna do is trace the connector through there, cut all that out, and I'm gonna separate the main harness, and only the ones I need to run the car, and the instrument cluster. So I'm gonna get to that and I'll be back. Alright, so I got the ignitions with the key taped all up. It's for the WS. Got that hooked up. And then one thing I ran into was there's a green with the black chaser wire right there, but it runs all the way to that side of the dash. When the main power wires to run the car go straight to the fuse box, to the ECU. So there's gonna be, I'm gonna see, I cut it, I'm gonna still see if it'll run. Hopefully it does. Push the clutch down. Alright, let's Nothing. I wonder if that was to the starter. So don't cut the green wire. Alright, so now what I did was, so what you're gonna have to do, the fuse box goes in there. Alright, so this is what you guys have to do. So what you're gonna do is grab your diagram. And basically everything you don't need: airbag, air conditioner, auxiliary fan, CD. You do need anything that has to do with anti-theft and immobilizer. So you'll have to keep those wires intact with the fuses intact. And then cut basically everything that doesn't need to run a motor. That's just an accessory. You cut everything from the fuse box. Now I pulled it all through, and everything that I cut, see, like, here's the fuses. So I cut everything that was not needed. So like this one is a needed wire. So once you pull it through, you're gonna find the wires that you cut. Here's the cut one. You're gonna pull it. You're gonna locate the wire through the harness, which goes to this. So here it is. You're gonna pull it through. You're basically just gonna cut it right there. And you're gonna do that for every wire you cut. Every wire you cut, you're gonna find all these loose wires. Just pull them. Find out where they go. And if they run far into the dash, all I did was isolate them and just hang them up over here. Alright, so I ended up having to take out the fuses and wiring from the passenger side. Now I gotta take that out. Here's all the mess.